Hi, this is Mariam. I'm second year medical student at Cave Medical University. Okay, actually, my topic today is the neuromuscular junction and physiology. Okay, actually, the neuromuscular junction or myelineural junction is a chemical synapse between a motor neuron and a muscular fiber or a muscle fiber. It allows the motor neuron to transmit a signal to the muscle's fiber, causing muscle contraction. Okay. The motor neuron axon travel from the anterior horn of the gray matter and the spinal cord to the motor end plate. The electrical signals travel with the neural membrane as action potential with the release of NT. They become chemical signals, and after the post-synaptic membrane, they become electrical signal again, and the muscle cell get depolarized. On the vascular membrane pins with syntaxin with the action potential, there is sodium and calcium influx into the nerve terminal, and potassium influx outside the nerve terminal, changing the internal voltage from minus 70 to plus 10 and plus 30. When calcium comes in, the change in the charge inside the nerve terminal attracts the vessels to the nerve and end membrane, where the synaptrophin protein on the vascular membrane binds with the syntaxin. The vessels open by dissolving at the nerve ending, and neurotransmitter are released of exocytosis. Acetylcholine in the synaptic cleft binds to the ligand-gated channel. Acetylcholine and nicotine-sensitive channel, triggering the channels to open because of the positive charge. A high concentration of sodium enter the muscle cell, and a little amount of potassium exit the channels. Like the sodium enter and the potassium exit. The voltage change from minus 80, this is mean resting potential, to 0. This is mean motor end plate potential. When it's depolarized, the muscle cell has a flow of electrical potential. The bond and H and on the channels later is broken down by H nesterase enzyme in the motor end plate to be reused as acetylcholine and choline. And just like this.
Hi, my name is Annette Abiesuku. I am in MA 1902, and I'm here to summarize most of our topics on reflex arc and spinal cord. So first of all, general characteristics of biological regulations and investigation of reflex arc. First of all, most biological processes are done to actually maintain homeostasis and equilibrium in the body, which is for instance maintaining our blood pressure, our heart rate, and fluid environment in the cell. And most of them is done through nervous impulses and chemical messengers, which are the hormones. So there are four main components of the feedback control loop, which requires a sensor mechanism, an integrator, an effector mechanism, and feedback. So if we're analyzing the reflex arc, for instance, it has a sensor mechanism which requires stimulation of the affected area, and then it requires a control center, which are the sensory neurons that translate the message to the to the spinal cord, and then the effector mechanism, which is the contraction of the muscles, and then feedback, which is the movement of the affected area. For instance, if it was a knee jerk, the knee would have to move. So in investigation of the role of spinal cord in regulation of motor functions of the organisms, we know that there are 31 pairs of spinal cord, and they actually contribute to both sensory and motor axons. So we know that the functions of the spinal cord, mostly for transmission of nerve signals from motor cortex to the body, and then the afferent fibers of the sensory neurons for to the sensory cortex. So it is the center for many reflexes, and it contains the reflex arc, like I explained, and they are independently controlled reflexes. They some parts of the reflex arc, for instance, the interneurons, are responsible for most of the integrative functions of the spinal cord, and all types of neural circuits are found in the interneural pole. And we also know that the motor tract consists of basically two tracts, which is the pyramidal tract and the extrapyramidal tract. And the pyramidal tract control voluntary motor activities, and the extrapyramidal tract transmits involuntary commands. Okay, so I also want to say that postsynaptic neurons have many excitatory and inhibitory presynaptic neurons. Whether the impulses is stimulated depends on the summation of the neurotransmitters. So it's like if there are more signals saying do this, or if there are more signals saying don't do this, and that's how we get excitation or inhibition. Example of excitatory chemicals or something, it's acetylcholine and non-adrenaline. And then examples of inhibitory chemicals, they are glycine and GABA, that's gamma aminobutyric acid. Also, we have different types of reflexes based on, like for instance, we have acquired reflexes, which are the ones that we're born to be doing, like things that we don't have to learn. We have the ones that are the reflexes based on response, and in that part we can have somatic and visceral. And then we have the ones based on the processing side, the ones processed by the spinal cord, and the ones processed by the brain. So thank you.
Okay, my name is Sharbel Makaran. I'm from 1902. This is brainstem physiology. So the brainstem is composed of three parts: midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata. There are so many motor nuclei in there, so they're classified into somatic, visceral, and branchial motor nuclei. Let's start with the somatic motor nuclei. There are actually oculomotor nuclei for the extraocular muscles, trochlear nucleus for the superior oblique muscle, abducens nucleus for the lateral rectus muscle, hypoglossal nucleus for the genioglossus muscle. Now, they're all motor functions, right, by the way. Visceral motor nuclei, Edinger-Westphal nucleus, first one. Also accessory oculomotor nucleus for the constriction of the iris and ciliary muscle. Now, superior and inferior salivatory nuclei. Okay, superior salivatory nuclei are for the salivary gland and the lacrimal gland, while the inferior salivatory nucleus is only for the parotid gland, for the saliva production. The last one in the visceral motor nuclei is the dorsal vagal nucleus, also parasympathetic innervation for the heart, lungs, gut. Okay, now branchial motor nuclei, trigeminal motor nucleus for the muscles of mastication, facial motor nucleus for the facial expression muscles, nucleus ambiguus for the muscles of the larynx, muscles of the pharynx, levator tensor palatini, and stuff like that. Now, the cerebellum. Cerebellum is located in the posterior cranial fossa, and it plays a really important role in the motor function of the body. It's very important in coordination, proprioception, posture, what else? Balance. The dance moves are stored in cerebellum. So it's connected to the midbrain by the superior, middle, and inferior cerebellar peduncles. There are so many descending tracts that are included within the cerebellum and the midbrain, and of course the cerebrum, and vice versa, ascending and descending. So yeah, they do the job for us. Okay.